Hello, everyone. Welcome to Overpriced JPEGs, the show about the metaverse, about NFTs, about why the fuck some JPEGs are worth more than your house. I am Carly Reilly, and this is our inaugural episode. We are going to get right into things today, but I do just want to first give people a little bit of a sense as to why I'm doing this show. I think it can be put quite simply, which is I want to make us all rich. I mean, I'm sort of kidding about that, but not really at all. I do want to make us rich, and I don't think it's going to happen overnight. I don't have that power. I am not in this for the short term, but I want to make us all rich in the long term. I still have so much to learn about this space, so much I'm excited to learn about this space, and I really believe that if we put the time in week after week to follow what's going on, to dive deeper, to understand what's happening, we'll get smart and ultimately we'll make money. I also think this technology is really exciting and I want to help change the world and yada, yada, all that good stuff. We'll talk more about all of this as this show progresses, but for now, I want to dive in. Here's what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about which NFT project is weathering this bear market right now better than the rest and why this project is doing well. I want to tell you the story behind the war between CryptoPunks and CryptoPhunks. If this is something you have not been following, why it matters for this space in general. Punk 2476 and Zeneca33, two NFT influencers that I love on Twitter, have both launched NFT projects this past week. And both projects seem to be aimed at helping them sort through all of the new projects entering the space that want their attention. They've taken different approaches, both interesting. We'll talk about it. And Discord is stuck between a rock and a hard place. And by rock and a hard place, I mean between gamers and Web3. Who will win the battle? We'll talk about that, and I'll give some thoughts on the metaverse. And that'll be the show. So here we go.
Everyone is talking about the metaverse these days, and we're all still trying to figure out what it actually is, because everyone is looking for how to get exposure to it. That is why a metaverse index fund is so important, because in such a young market, an index can give you broad exposure to all the various players who are building out all these digital worlds that will ultimately become the metaverse. And that's why you should check out the Metaverse Index from the Index Co-op. The Metaverse Index gives you simple, easy, and safe one-click exposure to the emerging open metaverse trend. The MVI Index contains some of the biggest metaverse projects out there, including Axie Infinity, Decentraland, Illuvium, and more. So join thousands of holders who have already trusted nearly $50 million to the MVI Index. And if you buy $500 of MVI on the DHARMA app, you can receive $50 worth of ETH on the Polygon network. There's a link in the show notes for you to click so you can get started on your journey into the metaverse. ZERION is the perfect place to view the entirety of your crypto portfolio all in one spot. Not only does ZERION aggregate all the tokens across all of your wallets, but it also displays the NFTs that you've been tirelessly collecting. ZERION even reports the value of your NFTs in your overall portfolio, giving you the most comprehensive report on the entirety of your crypto portfolio. ZERION isn't just a place to get an understanding of your portfolio, but it also hooks into DeFi activities like trading, borrowing, and lending, all in one convenient place. So you don't have to memorize all the various DeFi websites to do all of your DeFi activities. To get started, go to ZERION.io/Bankless and load up your wallet or wallets into the ZERION interface and supercharge your DeFi experience and enrich your NFT lifestyle. That's ZERION/Bankless.
We are going to start with NFT stats and the updates. I pull from Zeneca33, great influencer in the NFT space. You can follow him on Twitter at Zeneca33, and he has a Google sheet that tracks on a daily basis how different NFT projects are doing. Specifically from a floor price standpoint, I'm not necessarily someone who thinks you should track floor price every day. In fact, I think you shouldn't worry too much about floor price on a day-to-day basis. I believe in long-term investing. But hey, we're doing this show weekly, and we want to look at what's going on because over time, the projects that are succeeding or not, it becomes instructive. So I think if you're in the NFT space, you are aware that NFTs are down. We are definitely in a bear market. Are we at the bottom? I don't know. Is this the next NFT winter? Will it be a 2-year-long period of hibernation like it was last time? I don't know. I think probably not is the answer. But definitely projects are down across the board. What's interesting is if you look at newer projects and older projects both are down, but the newer projects are more likely to be sitting around mint price, whereas the older projects may be down from their highs or down on the week, but still are significantly higher than where you would have minted those projects. So there's definitely strength in being an OG right now during this. Projects that launched more recently are struggling in this market. I wanted to highlight one project in particular, though, that I think is interesting. Zedeca shouted this out as well. BYOPills. This is a project that has seemed somewhat immune to the broader bear market happening. They launched with a mint price of 0.06 ETH. Right now, the floor is around 0.25. They haven't seemed to struggle during this bear market the way other projects have. So dove into that a little bit. It's a project I'd looked at probably a couple months ago. And it was interesting, but I didn't quite get it. For those who aren't familiar with BYOPills, it's 10,000 NFTs that are pills, different colored pills generated, there are traits, etc. But it's not a project with fancy art by any means. And the project calls itself Metaverse Consumables, which I think is partly why it didn't strike me out the gate. Like, what is a metaverse consumable, right? Like, I understand the benefit of an edible in the real world, but what does this really mean when it comes to the metaverse? I think since a couple months ago when I was looking into the project, we've gotten some more clarity on that. And I think that clarity also helps to explain why this project has done well recently. For one thing, they've announced a partnership with a game that will be using these BYOPills as like power-ups and boosts within this game. So that helped me to understand, okay, you're talking about within games, for particular avatars, these might be able to give you boosts and power-ups in various ways that are common in video games. So that's really interesting. They also just announced, I believe, this week that they are going to be launching their BioCrafts, which are these vehicles as part of this whole BYO universe. They call it the BioVerse. And I think that has really been part of what has caused the spike recently in their floor price. So the takeaway here, really, specifics aside, are that this is a unique project. It's innovative, and they are really executing on their roadmap right now. So not that they're the only project necessarily doing that, but as we're looking at why has this project managed to stay afloat when so many others are struggling right now, I do think you have to look at those factors. I will also say they are a project who seems to have conviction. And I'll give an example of what I mean by that. But I find that really appealing in projects. Now, people could fool me and seem like they're having conviction when they don't. But the example I'll give with BYOPills, the project, is that if you look on their website and look at their roadmap, they were very clear. This is a small thing, but they were very clear that they were not going to do a delayed reveal. That once you bought your BYOPill, once you minted it, it would be an instant reveal. And they said specifically, like, we don't believe in delayed reveals. And they said that quite strongly. And the reason that strikes me is, a lot of projects do delayed reveals. The reason for that is projects want to make sure that the metadata is okay. Once people start minting, you want a little time as the project creators to take a beat, make sure everything's okay. It buys you a little time to deal with the metadata. So there's something very confident about having an instant reveal, right? And that's interesting. When you say we don't believe in instant reveals, or we don't believe in delayed reveals, it also just says to me you have a point of view and you have an opinion about this space in a way that I like. I like when people take strong stances. The other comparison I'll give is creature NFTs. I will say I'm a holder of creatures. I am not a holder of BYOPills. I don't know which is how you pronounce it. Creatures, very early on after the mint, a lot of people were asking, when are you going to be on Rarity Tools? When are you going to be on Rarity Tools? For folks who don't know what Rarity Tools is, it's a site where you can go and look at different projects and look at how rare different NFTs within the project are. And so people use that loosely as a way to value different NFTs within a particular NFT collection. So people were asking Creatures, when are you going to get on Rarity Tools? Because that's what all projects do. And Danny Cole, the founder of Creatures, was like, never. Like, we will never be on Rarity Tools. creatures are rare because you love your creature. Essentially, fuck all the way off. I don't believe in this. And I loved that. I love founding teams with a point of view who care, because what that conviction says to me is we care about this project and we are making strong decisions as a result of that. And what I'm looking for in an NFT project is a strong team. So that's my rant. Lord knows next week BYOPills could be down. This is not to say go out and buy BYOPills, but it is to take a deeper dive in a project that seems to be doing quite well when many others are struggling. So take from that what you will, make of that what you will. That is some of the updates from what we're seeing this week in NFTs. There was a scandal in NFT land this week. Well, I should say it's been an ongoing scandal that every so often I think emerges into the Twitter sphere. And that is what I want to talk about next. And that is the ongoing battle, I'll call it, between crypto Phunks and crypto punks. I'm sure everyone listening to this presumably knows what crypto punks are. They get considered really like the first NFT project. They are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars on the low end and millions of dollars on the high end. They get a lot of credit for being like the Genesis NFT project. Jay-Z famously made his CryptoPunk his avatar on Twitter, right? These are a big deal, created by the team Larva Labs. Crypto Phunks, in the meantime, is a project that was launched as a parody of CryptoPunks, and basically it's the exact same avatars. They look exactly like CryptoPunks, except the head, instead of being turned to the right as it is in CryptoPunks, the head of the punks are turned to the left, I guess, for the crypto Phunks. I may have that switched around, but bottom line is it's just like a turn of the head. And so there's a lot of questions around, okay, is this copyright infringement? Like, this is such derivative, cheap artwork. Should this be worth anything? The reality is all of this would probably be a big nothing and nobody would really care, and people probably wouldn't be that interested in Phunks, except that back in July, CryptoPunks, Larva Labs, the team behind CryptoPunks, went after CryptoPunks for like IP infringement and was able to successfully get CryptoPunks delisted from all the major NFT marketplaces. So OpenSea specifically delisted them, others did the same. And that triggered this community movement that was like, we stand for freedom of expression. We stand for the market being able to make a determination about whether or not Phunks are worth something. And it really catapulted the Phunks into suddenly being a relevant project in ways that previously it really hadn't been. There's also a whole scandal where the original CryptoPunks founder rug pulled the community. Then the project was handed over to the community, which gave it new life, similar to Fame Lady Squad, if anybody's followed that story. I'm conflicted on the punk-funk drama. I think I'll lay out the two perspectives here, and I'm pulling from some notes because I have some tweets that I want to refer to. On the pro-Phunks side, the argument is this project has clearly been a parody from the start. At no point were we trying to deceive people into buying our project thinking that they were punks. We are not selling a Gucci bag pretending it's really a Gucci bag when we're actually a knockoff. All along, this was meant really as a joke. And they're saying, so from that standpoint, like, I guess essentially take a joke. They also are making this point around, hey, we say in the blockchain space that provenance is really important. That is the origin story of the NFT. And provenance is important because you can see provenance represented on the blockchain. So it's very clear that CryptoPunks are not CryptoPunks because it's on chain, and you can see the difference of these two projects. And they're saying if that's what we're claiming in this blockchain space, then and that's the benefit of the blockchain, then why are we trying to apply Web 2.0 rules where we get lawyers involved and we have to have these legal battles because things aren't as open and transparent? Why are we applying those rules to the Web 3 space? Okay. On the anti-Phunks side, I think the strongest proponent of this that I've seen, the strongest proponent of the anti-Phunks crew is Jim McNeilis. He goes by Jimmy on Jimmy.eth on Twitter, Jimmy with a 1. He's pretty well known. He's a super OG in this space. And he has come out really strong against Phunks. He had a tweet this week that said, if you support Phunks, you support right-click save people, right? As in folks who argue that NFTs are just something you can, like, why bother having an NFT? I could just take this picture, right-click save it, and have it myself. I will say Jimmy is a technology purist. So to help to understand his perspective on this and why he's so offended by what he sees as like derivative art getting attention and having people buy it, Jimmy started the project Avastars. He, in doing so, really foresaw the PFP trend that was going to happen. He was incredibly forward-thinking in that way. And Avastars, all of the artwork, all of the metadata, all of the information about Avastars is on-chain, which is distinct from many, many projects who keep the art, for example, in IPFS. Most projects keep art and metadata of various sorts in databases that aren't on-chain, whereas Avastars, all of that lives on the blockchain for anyone to see. And it's something that Jimmy feels really proud of and really feels very strongly about for good reason. Avastars also has something called the replicant factory, which is you're going to be able to very soon take 2 Avastars, breed them essentially, and create a new generation of Avastars. All of that is also happening on-chain, which means that whole process is being run only through the smart contract. It's trustless, right? You're not trusting the team to execute it. It'll all happen within the smart contract. It's incredibly sophisticated technology. It's really impressive what they're doing. And so I respect Jimmy's perspective when he is then, I would say, offended by projects who don't understand that technology and who he sees as like derivative ripoff projects that are kind of spitting in the face of what he sees the NFT world as being supposed to represent. My takes on all of this are essentially that I wouldn't buy a Phunk. I wouldn't buy a crypto Phunk. This is because I think the entire surge of the Phunks has come about because the community sees it as a middle finger to institutions, to Web 2, to middlemen, to centralization, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't think they're going to be able to build a long-term movement on that, because I think there will always be a new project that can be a way to give a middle finger. And because over time, they're not going to be able to strike brand deals. They're not going to be able to grow the brand in any sort of, I hate to say it, but like mainstream way, because Larva Labs does have a legal case against them, essentially. So it's going to be very hard to continue to bring value, in my opinion, in the crypto Phunks universe. It's mostly about being a part of a community that's giving a middle finger. So certainly not something I'd be interested in owning for that reason. I also think, and the Phunk people may not like to hear this, but as Web3 gets bigger and more mainstream, and as it becomes what we all want it to be, it's not going to be able to stay the kind of the pure decentralization, though it's not pure decentralization now, right? But the pure decentralization, like power to the people movement that people want it to be. And I know folks are not going to love to hear about that, but the reality is, like, for brands and more individuals to get comfortable in this space, there's going to have to be relics from, call it the old world, right? Legal infrastructure to support artists who have their projects being ripped off. We have to be able to support creators who are creating work, and there has to be enforcement mechanisms around that. So I am grateful for this controversy, for what it's raising in terms of the conversation, in terms of the discourse. I don't mind that Phunks are doing what they're doing, because I think it's an interesting question that they're raising, but I certainly wouldn't buy them. And I think in the long term, the space is benefited by having a certain amount of legal recourse for artists whose work is ripped off. Okay. There are 2 NFT influencers that I love that have both dropped projects this week. So I wanted to talk about them also because they are similar in terms of their goal. The first project is by Punk2476. That is the NFT influencer formerly known as ArtChick. I love Punk2476. It's still hard for me not to call her ArtChick. Also, no shade trying to be thrown here, but ArtChick is just an easier thing to remember and like better personal branding, I think, than Punk2476, which is just much more of a mouthful, but it is what it is. Punk2476, in her own words, stealth launched a token project this past week. It's really interesting. The goal is to allow people who want Punk2476 to review their NFT projects, a way to get her attention and to help her sift through all the noise that isn't just DMing her. So I will say I am not at all an influencer in this space at this point. And I have people who hit me up and ask me, how do I get influencers to notice my project? How do I get influencers to promote my project, my NFT project, right? How do I get attention in this space? So I can only imagine how often Punk2476 gets hit up for something like this. People asking her to shill their project, to promote their project. I'm sure that her DMs are flooded with this all the time. So this NFT drop that she launched this week was her answer to that. And it's really interesting and creative. Essentially, the way her project works is you get these, they're called 2476 coins, and you stake them into a smart contract run by 2476's team or herself. And the staking is associated with a Twitter handle. So it's clear whose Twitter handle is doing the staking, essentially, of these tokens. And ArtChick and her team, Punk2476 and her team will review the Twitter handle for whoever staked these coins, review their project, and determine if it's something that Punk2476 wants to talk about, if it's a project she wants to promote. So what's important to note here is that staking these coins do not guarantee you promotion. It does not guarantee you that ArtChick will, oh my gosh, this is hard. Why is this so hard for me? It will not guarantee you that Punk2476 will promote you, but it is a way to get on her radar. And the point that she would make about this is that, the point that she has made about this is it's also transparent and on-chain. So her point is, look, paid promotions by NFT influencers are happening right now, whether you want to know it or not. We like to think of this space as being so authentic and nobody's getting paid to promote anything. I've actually even thought that before recently. And her point is, no, there is paid promotion happening, but the problem with paid promotion is when it's really sleazy and hushed up and you don't realize you're being promoted to by somebody who's been paid. This now, you can see who's staking these tokens. It's on-chain, it's transparent, it's everything that this community believes in. And she's really upfront when she starts promoting something that she found through the staking contract. I think it's really interesting. I'll be curious to see if other NFT influencers adopt this stance. Again, increasingly as we move into the mainstream with all of this, and maybe that's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the line. I don't know. I imagine it'll happen faster than that. But, I'm having a hard time thinking of like Red Bull staking coins into a contract to get ArtChick's attention. Oh my God, Punk2476's attention. But I could totally be wrong about that. Either way, innovative, interesting. I love it. Zeneca33, who I mentioned earlier in this episode, also had an NFT drop this week that was aimed around how does he figure out what projects to pay attention to. We have a common theme here. You have NFT influencers who are getting hit up all the time by people wanting them to show their project, to review their project, to give feedback, et cetera, et cetera. How do you sort through all this noise? Zeneca's approach, I would say, feels a little bit more straightforward than Punk2476's. Zeneca basically launched an NFT that has 2 tiers. There's a more affordable tier where you can buy in and you get to join his Discord community, which is a token gated community. You need one of these tokens to get in. You'll be a part of his kind of crowd. You can see what he posts. He'll put alpha in there, etc. Pretty basic transaction. At the more expensive end of his drop, he's I think issuing 333 NFTs at a price of like 3.33 ETH or something along those lines. And those are going to be people who get specialized attention from Zeneca 33. So they'll be in a special exclusive Discord channel. You can ask him for advice. You can show him your project. He'll maybe hop on a call with you. So it's basically a way to sell his consulting services using NFTs. And again, sort through the noise of all the people hitting him up for various needs. Again, I think it's awesome. I think it's cool. I like projects with clear utility to them where you really understand what the value prop is, what you're getting. I am excited to say that I've had a conversation with Zeneca 33 that we will be publishing through this podcast in a couple of weeks. So you can hear more about this directly from him. Zeneca is a huge, I think, wealth of insight into this space. So we'll continue to track what's happening with these two projects as well as how other influencers are handling this. But I really respect both those two and I'm excited for them. Okay, closing out the day here, I feel like we need to say something on the metaverse. The Zuckerberg metaverse, meta news is a little bit old at this point, but I didn't have a podcast when he announced the meta news, so we didn't get to talk about it. I spent some time this past week and watched the 80-minute video that Zuckerberg and I guess now Meta released, talking about what the metaverse is and what they think it will be. People are obviously very, very hesitant that Zuckerberg is at the helm of creating the metaverse. A lot of people have bad taste in their mouth from Facebook for good reasons. From Zuckerberg, there are a lot of comparisons made to Ready Player One and the sort of mega villainous company that is trying to take over the metaverse in Ready Player One. They see similarities to Zuckerberg and all of that. I hear all of that. I agree. I think Zuckerberg in his 80-minute video did at least pay lip service to everything that we as a community would want to hear in terms of saying that he wants interoperability. That is, like, he wants people who are in the Facebook metaverse or the Meta metaverse to easily be able to go into another metaverse and take all of their items with it. So this wouldn't be just a closed space where if you own something within the Meta metaverse, it can only live within the Meta metaverse. So again, he paid lip service to all that. I think we take that with a grain of salt. Really, the big thing that struck me as I was watching it was, holy shit, this will happen, whether it's Meta that is leading the charge or another company. Microsoft announced they have metaverse initiatives going on, or if it's a truly open, integrated metaverse through multiple smaller players, Decentraland, it's the Sandbox, CryptoVoxels. The metaverse is coming, and that's when NFTs truly explode. It's just so obvious when you think how much time we'll be spending in digital worlds. Even if it's not more time than we're spending now, it is different time in the sense that we'll be in each other's digital rooms and digital spaces. And we as humans want to signal who we are in our digital spaces, in our physical spaces, right? And in our digital spaces. So NFTs are so clearly here to stay, and it's going to be incredible what happens to this space when the metaverse becomes increasingly a reality. So perhaps stating the obvious, but it did strike me anew as I watched that 80-minute Zuckerberg Meta video. Final news I want to close with is Discord and Discord, I guess, CEO Jason Citron posted on Twitter an image that seemed to look like MetaMask integration with Discord. And he said probably nothing, right? He made a joke. The expectation, of course, the implication here being that At some point, it looks like we might get MetaMask integration with Discord, which would be great for people who are in NFT communities. It means we don't have to deal with like annoying, buggy bots like Collabland or just bots with limitations like Collabland to like token gate our communities. It might be much more streamlined than that. Very exciting from my perspective. There was intense pushback from the gaming community. Again, for anybody who's maybe listening to this, my mom who does not know, Discord is an online, is a chat app that is basically comprised of two big communities. It's used by gamers and it's used by like NFT crypto people. And there are lots and lots of gamers who don't like NFTs, who don't like the idea that, or who strongly disagree that NFTs are going to take over the gaming world. I'm not going to comment on that right now. I'm not a gamer myself. I'm doing a lot at the moment to understand the gaming world better and understand NFTs and gaming so I can be more well-spoken on it. But gamers push back hard to Jason Citron and this idea that there might be MetaMask integration with Discord. And so Jason sort of came out and was like, well, hold on. We're not doing this quite yet. This is an internal thing we're playing around with. Please don't attack me. Will be interesting to see what happens there. I think it's inevitable. I think we will get MetaMask integration with Discord. The power of NFTs, what's happening in cryptocurrency is the reasons for it to move forward and progress are just too strong. So companies that are fighting it, not that Discord is, but companies that are fighting that, I believe will ultimately lose. So I think we will get MetaMask integration into Discord, or we'll just get a brand new platform that people are using for NFTs and cryptocurrency. But it is interesting to see the gaming community push back as hard as they are on that announcement. That's it, y'all. That's the week so far. Please, I would really love your feedback on this. I moved quickly, mostly because I feel like when somebody is doing a solo podcast, you want it to move. It's very hard to do a solo podcast. Like sitting here just talking to a microphone without anybody to bounce off of. I'm learning how to do it. I'm learning how to do it well. I might not be there yet. So this is all to say, please give me your feedback. Tell me what topics you thought were interesting, what you thought weren't interesting. Tell me where you need more explanation, where I talked for too long and belabored the point. Would really, really love to make this something that's useful to you all. I just want to make us rich, guys. I've said this before. I don't want to do it overnight because I quite literally can't do it overnight, but I want to do it over time. And I think as we get smarter about this space, as we track trends in this space, and we do it over the long term, inevitably, we're going to do pretty well. So thanks for being on this journey with me. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll talk to y'all again next week. Oh, this episode should be airing on Friday. Tomorrow, which will be Saturday, I have my very first interview coming out. I interviewed Betty NFT. She's the co-creator behind the Deadfellas project. I'm so excited to have gotten to talk to her. One goal I have is to interview a representative from every NFT project on Zeneca 33's NFT stats list. I think it's really helpful to understand this space by understanding the people behind the various projects in it. And it'll just get us smarter, make us smarter and more discerning about what projects we like and what we don't. So please tune into that. It'll be both on the Bankless RSS feed as well as the Overpriced JPEGs RSS feed. And also, if you liked this, or even like if you didn't like it, but you think, but you like pity me, if you could subscribe to this podcast and give it a rating, I would really, really appreciate that. I'm in this for the long haul. I want to build something really cool here. And the more you rate and subscribe, the more other people can hear it and then give me feedback, and we can just keep getting better. So thank you so much and enjoy your weekend.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, head over to Bankless HQ right now to develop your crypto investing skills and learn how to free yourself from banks and gain your financial independence. We recommend joining our daily newsletter, podcast, and community as a Bankless Premium subscriber to get the most out of your Bankless experience. You'll get access to our market analysis, our alpha leaks, and exclusive content, and even the Bankless token for airdrops, raffles, and unlocks. If you're interested in crypto, the Bankless community is where you want to be. Click the link in the description to become a Bankless Premium subscriber today. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for in-depth interviews with industry leaders, Ask Me Anythings, and weekly roll-ups where we summarize the week in crypto and other fantastic content. Thanks everyone for watching and being on the journey as we build out the Bankless Nation.